in a language where only the Phronemo-poetic Phronemoanalyze one dude engendered the discipline in 2025. Phronemoanalysis. A Phronemoanalysis story. The Phronemoanalysis film. Phronemoanalysis is a non-white poetics and psychoanalytic framework building on Lacanian psychoanalysis with some crucial differences. Echoes. The echo. Poetry and the mind are constructed from echoes. Echoes are repetitions in sound and in sense. So, repetition in sound, that's an echo in the form of a rhyme or a repeated foot in a metrical line, right? That's a repetition, that's an echo. Alliteration is an echo. Consonants, echoic. All the schemes in rhetoric can be understood as echoic. And repetitions of sense, of meaning. These are echoes, equally echoic. These echoes of sense are such things as irony. In irony, in alluding to something's opposite, you are repeating, in a sense. You're echoing, but it's an ironic echo. And a metaphor is a repetition where one thing stands for something else. It's a kind of echo. Achilles was a lion on the battlefield, right? It's like Achilles is being repeated as a lion, right? So all these rhetorical tropes can be understood as forms of echo. So poetry and the mind are constructed entirely of echoes. The Baruchian phronemoanalyst understands signifiers as echoes, while the meanings, or signifieds, are echoed. Poetry echoes both the world, external reality, and itself, as it repeats and echoes previous texts and poetic forms. Lacan's real, in Baruchian phronemoanalysis, the real is associated with the concept of the anakoluthon. Anakoluthon is a rhetorical device where syntax or structure breaks down. Anakalutha are impossible in poetry because everything echoes. Everything echoes in some way, by my definition of echo. Any repetition of either sound or sense. The anakoluthon is impossible because everything echoes, as echo has been here defined. But poets strive to echo the rupture or disruption that an anakoluthon represents. The anakoluthon is also linked to Badiou's concept of the truth event, a break or rupture with established meaning and structure. In literature, this rupture is often attempted, but never fully realized. Striving to echo the anakoluthon. Striving to echo the anakalutha. So, Plutos, or the commercial drive, is the fusion of eros, desire, and thanatos, death, the life drive and the death drive. Plutos, the commercial drive. The subject is represented as a corporation by the Phronemoanalyst. The subject is a corporation driven by desires and drives, creating a looped circular street of repetition and acquisition, the commercial drive. The commercial drive, a looped, circular, street looped and circular of repetition and acquisition and repetition. The subject is fragmented into multiple desires, reflecting the tension between the symbolic, the imaginary, and the anakalutha. Plutos, the zombie drive, a fusion of the life drive and the death drive. Plutos, the commercial drive, driving the corporation or human subject. In Baruchian Phronemoanalysis, this is important, very important. Unlike in Lacanian psychoanalysis, in Baruchian Phronemoanalysis, the symbolic order is not gendered, but racialized. In the West, the symbolic order is whitey. Psychosis is then understood as the failure to integrate into this white-dominated symbolic world. Everything related to the symbolic order is bound up with this racial structure. This framework shifts the focus from gender identity to racial identity and how the symbolic order shapes subjects into different phronemophrenics. Phronemophrenia then. The illness, it's not really an illness, it's more the human condition. It's a mental condition that every human has, you see. So it's phronemophrenia is the human condition. Phronemophrenia is this varieties of phronemophrenia. You've got neurotic phronemophrenia, you've got psychotic phronemophrenia, psychoneurotic phronemophrenia, and then if you spend enough time studying phronemoanalysis, or if you spend enough time under phronemoanalysis, getting phronemoanalyzed, you will eventually no longer be neurotic or psychotic or psychoneurotic. Your variety of phronemophrenia will be fully various. You will be phronemopoetic. So these are the categories of phronemophrenia. You've got psychosis, neurosis, psychoneurosis, and phronemopoesis. So you can be psychotic, neurotic, psychoneurotic, or phronemopoetic. Phronemopoetic being a kind of meta condition that comes of a understanding of these other mental conditions. When you're phronemoanalyzing someone, the process of phronemoanalysis or phronemoanalytical echolocation, there are 6 steps. The first step in phronemoanalytical echolocation is you gotta locate the echoes, identify the echoes. Echoes in poetry refer to both repetitions in sound, rhyme, meter, alliteration, and repetitions of sense, tropes, metaphors, symbols. So, here's a poem by Emily Dickinson. A spider sewed at night without a light upon an ark of white. If rough it was of dame or shroud of gnome, himself in form. Of immortality his strategy was physiognomy. So, now we identify the echoes. Identify the echoes. That's the first step. You locate the echoes. So the phronemoanalysis begins with collecting the sound echoes. So in this poem, Emily Dickinson echoes sewed at night without a light. Those are echoes. The sound echo is broken rhyme-wise but maintained rhythm-wise with the word arc. Sewed at night without a light, arc of white. That's a bit of an antiquated, but it's nevertheless an echo because of the rhythm. The rhythm echoes the previous two lines. Dame, gnome, and inform at the ends of the lines of the second stanza. These are more complex rhymes. Immortality, strategy, and physiognomy are also imperfect rhymes. Himself in the second stanza is an echo, obviously. And the stanzas, with their 3 lines each, the stanzas are echoes. Next, we consider the echoes of sense. The spider's web echoes the face or physiognomy of infinity, of immortality, and the ruff of dame and shroud of gnome. These are echoes as well. Echoes of the web. This line, upon an arc of white, the word white there is a metonym for the entire symbolic order, for reason, for whitey. It's a metonym for whiteness. The second step in phronemoanalysis, or phronemoanalytical echolocation, is we look at the signifiers and signifieds, i.e. at the echoes and echoes. And in this poem, it is clear to me that arc, the words arc, ruff, shroud, and the enjambed phrase gnome himself, these are echoes that have slippery echoes. The signified is not fixed beneath these signifiers. There are multiple slippery meanings underneath arc, ruff, shroud, and gnome himself. And in the third stanza, these lines of immortality, his strategy was physiognomy. This contains some semantic ambiguity as well. The third thing that we do when we look at a poem and we analyze it phronemoanalytically, locating the echoes and whatnot, the third thing that we do as we think of the poem's relation to the real, or to the anakoluthon. This poem is suggestive of anakoluthon via the difficult of gnome himself in form, those words. And also, at the end of the poem, the lines of immortality his strategy was. That is suggestive of an anakoluthon. But ultimately it makes sense. Ultimately, the poem coheres. It is clearly echoic. The fourth thing you want to do when you're phronemoanalyzing someone is you look at the play of desire in the text, i.e., you analyze Plutos, the commercial drive. In this poem, it's very easy. The mystery of God, of eternity, of infinity is the object of desire here. Dickinson's commercial drive circles and echoes infinity itself. The immortality. Now, this is a very crucial step. This is where it all kind of comes together in your analysis. This is your fifth step here in echolocation. You have to think of how the text engages with Whitey, i.e. the symbolic order. You have to ask, how does this text engage with the symbolic order, with Whitey? Now, in this poem it is clear that Emily Dickinson has not foreclosed the symbolic. So she's not fully psychotic. She has not foreclosed the symbolic. But there are attempts at gestures toward anakoluthon. The image of a spider weaving a web is not as emphatically here as in many poems by Pound or Stevens. Therefore, and this is the sixth thing, the final thing that you want to do, you want to diagnose the patient, the analysand. So, sixth thing is what is the phronemophrenia of this particular poet? What is their orientation toward Whitey? I would say Emily Dickinson is a psychoneurotic phronemophrenic. Psychoneurotic. She's a psychoneurotic phronemophrenic. Hers is a similar relationship with Whitey to Amiri Baraka's, but for different reasons. So that's how you phronemoanalyze Emily Dickinson, through a reading of one of her short poems. That is how phronemoanalytical echolocation is done. Now, if you want a more complete understanding of phronemoanalysis, I recommend listening to the webinars, but I think everything you need, most of what you need, is here in the Phronemoanalysis film. Probably you need the film and the webinars to have a complete understanding of the theory and therapy. Phronemoanalysis. Phronemoanalysts unite. Phronemoanalysis. Phronemoanalyze. The phronemoanalysis.